What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island. My name is Joey and it's probably midnight right now and I got the crazy munchies. Lay's chips will cure all of that. Now, I was also wondering whatever happened to the Titans of Tomorrow. Now, these future Titans did a really good story back in 2005 by Geoff Johns, but where are they lately? Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the Titans of Tomorrow starting from their first appearance in 2005, moving forward past Infinite Crisis, and what they've been up to post New 52, moving on to DC Rebirth. But before we get into that, I need some more chips. So good for midnight snacks. Okay, so let's start with a quick history lesson of these future versions of these Titans. In 2005, DC writer and God himself, Geoff Johns, wrote a 3-issue story detailing the adventures of these Teen Titans traveling into a possible future where they meet their future self, who are battle-hardened and will take actions to the extreme in order to get their results, which is, in this case, still peace. But they have employed the Red Hood's mantra of getting results. They basically kill first and ask questions later. These Titans of Tomorrow included Tim Drake as Batman, Connor Kent as Superman, Cassandra Sandsmark as Wonder Woman, Garth Logan aka Beast Boy is now all grown up and as the Animal Man. Raven is now referred to as the Dark Raven, and newcomer Aqua Woman, who doesn't have an extensive backstory. These Titans of Tomorrow essentially won half the USA, where they are now the law. They run a militant state free of crime, poverty, and disease, but there is no more free will and hope. You see, in order to achieve obedience, Dark Raven casted a spell on the citizens of the West Coast to basically obey the New World Order, but the main focus is on their leader, the new Batman aka Tim Drake of the future. This team clearly regarded Tim Drake as their leader, and it's important to note that the future Tim Drake suffers from chrono stress, which basically means that it's hard for him to remember that they went to the future and met their future self when they were young. However, Bart Allen, the future Flash, does remember because being a speedster, he has experience with time travel and it helps being a metahuman, whereas Tim Drake is not. Now, it's obvious to see that the future Titans turn to Tim Drake for all their final decisions, so the future Titans welcomes the original team to their base, aka the Titans Tower. But then Superboy Connor Kent discovers that their future self are torturing Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, where we see Connor Kent as Superman taking off Deathstroke's arm via laser vision. The Titans of Tomorrow slug it out with their younger selves, which resulted in the Teen Titans escaping, but their Tim Drake, Robin, was left behind. The original Titans met up with the good guys, aka the East Coast Titans, led by Cyborg 2.0, along with Ravager, Bumblebee, Terra, Batwoman, and Captain Marvel. Cyborg's Titans East Coast secured a peaceful diplomatic nation where everyone can keep their free will, so a clear line is drawn in the sand between the future Titans. The East Coast Titans aided the Teen Titans in breaching the Batcave, saving their Robin Tim Drake, and access the Flash's cosmic treadmill, where both Bart Allen Flashes power up the treadmill, which they use to return the original Titans back to their timeline. End of the story, but the epilogue is where it gets really interesting. Connor Kent's Superman returns home to his father figure, Lex Luthor, who served as president in this future timeline. Now, it's alluded to the fact that Lex Luthor was the puppet master behind the Titans West going bad a bit, but then we skip 2 years later. 2007 brings us a story called Titans of Tomorrow Today. This happens after the event of Infinite Crisis, where we saw a version of Clark Kent turn into the evil Superboy Prime, which caused a ton of mayhem, killing many superheroes along with Superman Luthor clone Connor Kent Superboy. This could be an awesome story for another day, but let me know in the comments below if you want to hear more about Superboy Prime or the events of Infinite Crisis. So now, back to the story. We pick up where we left off. Future Luthor knows that the future is changing and correcting itself, so he tells Superman Connor Kent that they must do something about it. Now, remember when Superboy Prime kills the present-day Connor Kent during the events of Infinite Crisis? Well, the future is changing to adapt to it, where we see the future Superman starting to have a memory that he once died. Fast forward to present day. Led by Superman Connor Kent and Batman Drake, the Titans of Tomorrow reintroduce themselves to the Teen Titans, but now, since their future is in jeopardy, the future Titans teams up with their present-day selves in hopes of guiding their younger selves in a way where they can secure their future. Martian Manhunter tries to convince Miss Martian to embrace her original Grey form. Batman Tim Drake continues his lecture on telling Tim Drake to start killing to get better results, and Wonder Woman preaches the same thing to her younger self, Cassie Sandsmark. But of course, eventually, the two sides collide and the impending doom of Starro grows ever closer. So the puppet master behind it all, Lex Luthor, brings the Titans army of nearly 20 future versions of the Teen Titans in his employ to present day to help fight Starro. Now, since the future did change quite a bit from the 2005 story Titans of Tomorrow and Infinite Crisis, we see Cyborg 2.0 now on Luthor's side, and Bart Allen, being dead in present day, is reborn as a clone and now working for Luthor. The Starro threat got neutralized, so of course the two sides turn on each other, but at this time in the Titans continuity, Cassie Sandsmark was heartbroken from her boyfriend Connor Kent's death. Tim Drake has deep feelings for her, but Connor Kent is his boy. They are best friends, so he gotta respect the bro code. Moving back to the aftermath of Starro's attack, Cassie finds Tim Drake being heavily influenced by his future gun-wielding self. She goes up to him, tells him that it is time to let Connor go, and she gives him a big wet one. This infuriates future Superman Clark Kent, who has shown a hint of jealousy towards his Batman Tim Drake. Superman speeds towards Tim Drake Robin with mad rage, yelling, "You betrayed me! You betrayed your best friend!" Batman interjects by shooting Superman in the chest with a kryptonite lace bullet, which brings the Man of Tomorrow to his knees. Luthor jumps in screaming, "You've ruined everything, I'll kill you all!" Batman takes down Luthor, stating that everything was ruined to begin with. This is where time runs out for the future Titans. Everyone fades away, with the future Batman to be the last to disappear. But before he does so, he gives his past self a smirk as if he is confident that his future is intact, and that Tim Drake Robin will one day grow up to take on the Batmantle and find and use the gun that killed Martha and Thomas Wayne. The Sinestro Corps War happens shortly after, but this is a story for another day. But let's stick to the Titans of Tomorrow. 2012 starts off with a bang, literally. The Flash broke the time stream continuum and created a rebooted world we call the New 52. FYI, this information is old because it is now heavily hinted that Barry Allen did not crack the time stream and it was Dr. Manhattan who did this, but let's not get sidetracked. The world restarted 10 years younger and we get introduced to a mysterious Mr. Oz who is revealed to be... Okay, no. Back to the story. Tim Drake gets taken out of the equation because some green hooded guy with a staff deems Red Robin too dangerous to be left in the playing field. The world believes him to be dead, and since this is the new universe, the Titans of Tomorrow event never happened. Tim, having that scientific mind, finds a way to escape Mr. Oz's prison by fashioning gadgets from his uniform. He finds out that he is imprisoned with a Doomsday and the fifth dimensional imp. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to start saying his name again. I mean, I can't. I just can't do it.
Mixius Picklick.
My name is Mixus Piddlick.
Name's Mixius Piddlick.
It's Mix. Yes. Spit. Lick.
Okay, back to the story. Tim is eventually allowed free range of his prison complex, where he frees who he believes to be Batman. Instead, it was another Tim Drake. We know Mr. Oz removed older Tim Drake from the Futures End event, where Tim becomes Batman Beyond. Now, we discovered that he also took Tim Drake from a possible future, a very similar future we saw in Titans of Tomorrow. The biggest clue is that this future Tim wields the same gun that killed Martha and Thomas Wayne. He now uses it for good, aka killing villains. This is the exact same method and tool the Batman Drake from the Titans of Tomorrow employs to dispose of his enemies. Also, we got a recording from a future Superman sending a message to Batman Drake informing him that Vic's team is preparing another raid on the Fortress of Solitude, which hints that Victor is the leader of his team and they are at odds with Batman and Superman's team. This is a huge nod to the Titans of Tomorrow storyline, where Vic 2.0 is the leader of his Titans East team, and Batman Drake is the leader of the Titans West team. Now eventually, Batman Drake and Robin Drake escapes the prison complex, which brings us back to the present day timeline in Gotham City. Before the future Tim leaves, he tells his past self to apologize to Connor Kent, aka Superboy. But since the New 52, Tim Drake never had a friend named Connor. We met a Superboy Connell, which was not a clone of Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor, but rather he was a clone from Krypton and he was brought to Earth. Now, I did a video on him on my early days on YouTube. I recommend checking it out if you want to know more about Connell in the New 52. The link will be in the description below. So, back to the story. This future Tim was shocked to hear about this huge difference in the past. By cutting his past self and discovering a scar on his own arm, future Tim realizes now that his future can be changed and he doesn't need to become a gun-wielding broody vigilante that he is. He can finally be free, but in order to do so, he has to kill one of the knights, Batwoman. Apparently, in the near future, Kate Kane Batwoman will do something that will set his future into place. So by removing her, future Tim can be free of ever becoming Batman. Now, this is a future Tim with a lot more training and he knows the Bat family personally. He even held his own against the creature that killed Superman. Even though he is human, his suit is a lot more advanced than what the current Batman wears, mainly due to the fact that his suit has the Brother Eye program at his disposal. And of course, he takes the war to the Bat family, where we see future Tim disable Red Hood by attacking a past injury Jason Todd sustained a while back. Now, what's really interesting is that future Tim is careful not to seriously harm the Bat family, but when it came to Damian, he comments stating that Damian should be killed on the spot for what he did to Superman's son John. Now, this will be important when we get into the last part of this video, so take note, guys. When future Tim goes up against Bruce Wayne, all he needed to do is reveal a secret he learned from his Batman's dying words, which states that Batman's worst fear is that he will leave his Robins more broken than when he found them, and that his mission of vengeance poisoned those around him, and everyone close to him will live miserably or even die prematurely. This was enough to give Batman pause, which gave future Tim an edge to take down the Dark Knight. Future Tim finally had his chance at Batwoman, but our original Tim, with Batwing's help, managed to disable Brother Eye. This was enough to halt future Tim's plans, and Hypertime was finally successful in pulling him back to his future timeline. This was the last time we saw of Tim Drake as Batman, until he returns in Superman issue 37, where we discovered that Hypertime threw Tim Drake back to present day. He first takes Batman out of the equation by firing one bullet into Bruce's chest. Tim then arrives at the Fortress of Solitude, where he imprisons Superman in a force field covered by red kryptonite, which depowers Kryptonians. By removing the world's finest, future Tim can now pursue his main mission, which is to kill Superboy Jonathan Kent. He takes control of Titan's Tower, and this is where we discovered that in his future, an unhinged Damian Wayne argues with Jonathan Kent. The future Superman became unstable and essentially released his super flare ability that killed millions. Now, let's rewind back to 2015 for one moment. New 52 Superman fought a mysterious man named Ulysses, who has various superhuman abilities. At the final battle, Superman released his standard eye blast, but it escalated till he exploded, which released an excessive amount of power, leaving the Man of Steel and his opponent unconscious. Batman later reveals that Superman's heat vision is a precursor to an ability Superman has but never knew about. Superman released all his energy stored in his cells in one blast. Batman calls this new ability a super flare. Back in our main storyline, we now discover that Superboy has this same ability and he will one day accidentally release it, which will kill millions. Future Tim will not let this happen. We got a small taste of John's super flare ability, which left Titan's Tower heavily damaged, and the young dynamic duo are gone. Damian aims to help his friend, but he left his teammate behind, so future Tim salvages what he can find from the armory to create a new costume due to the fact that his batsuit was heavily damaged in the super flare explosion. Now calling himself Savior, Tim Drake is racing against the clock as Hypertime begins to pull him again back to his timeline. Now, the ending happens at the Fortress of Solitude. Robin and Superboy seek shelter in the safest place they can think of, only to find that Superman has been imprisoned. John begins to rage, which puts him in a trance, and he will not survive his second super flare. Savior arrives to see it happen to the end, but the Titans of Tomorrow, his teammates, arrive as well in hopes of bringing their teammate back home. But now Superboy is about to go Nova, which forces everyone to work together, except for Savior, of course. But as he witnesses both Supermen giving their all to save John, Savior has a change of heart and begins to take command of the situation. He absorbs all the solar flare into his body as he begins to succumb to the pull of Hypertime. Tim, aka Savior, disappears again, but not before taking all of the power with him, which then saves John's life. The last time we see Xavier is him flowing through Hypertime, which means that we will be seeing this villain slash anti-hero again, hopefully sooner rather than later. The entire story ends with the Titans of Tomorrow introducing themselves to the present-day heroes. This effectively brings back the concept of the future Titans into the current continuity, albeit some differences. Last time we saw future Tim Drake pre-New 52, he saves his younger self by attacking Lex Luthor. This new and somewhat same Tim Drake did the right thing at the end by sacrificing his life to save his teammates and the present-day heroes, but now we have established that he is a character of his own by the name of Savior, and since he is lost in hyper time, we will most likely be seeing him again, but as a friend or foe, we will have to wait and see. So what do you think about us doing the video the way it is right now? Not really a complete story arc because we just jump around through different stories, but is there any different groups or certain individuals you want to hear moving forward through time and see what they've been up to, taking key moments from every single year? Let me know in the comments below. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed the video and want to support us, I recommend checking out our Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. Thanks again, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.